Good morning, everybody. Enter the stars. And I wanted to take the opportunity today to get caught up on some of these headlines. Now, there have been some important developments pertaining to the electric vehicle grid, as well as the hurricane that just blew through Florida and is still wreaking havoc along the eastern seaboard, and a few other things that I wanted to get caught up on. Now, what is going on in California? Well, about a month ago, we started talking about the electric kingdom and how everything was headed towards the complete and total electrification of the entire United States and the world for that matter. This is where everything's headed. Billions of dollars worth of equipment, gas-powered equipment, will soon become obsolete. This is the plan of our controllers. California has already gone down this road. They've made small gas engines illegal, basically, for the most part, for lawn equipment. So these are millions, if not billions of dollars worth of lawn equipment that is now going to become obsolete, as these lawn businesses have to now basically go out and rebuy all of this equipment with batteries. Now, think of the irony of that. California, the state that claims to care about illegals and their well-being and jobs for them and all these things. And we all know that in California, if you've lived there, that a large percentage of those people work to basically service the rich. They mow lawns, they basically care for the elderly and these kinds of jobs when they're fresh over from across the border. And so California, basically, in the irony of it all, is punishing these people by basically causing them to have to repurchase all of these billions of dollars, well, maybe not billions, well, probably billions, in equipment, lawn equipment. Lawn equipment is very expensive. Now, we talked about California and its problems with even having a grid that will handle all of this electrification with the new legislation that is basically going to force people into electric cars. And in fact, according to this article, almost 16% of new vehicles sold are electric vehicles. Now, we don't know the total percentage of electric vehicles, but of the new vehicles sold, 16% are electric vehicles. And so what does this mean? Well, by 2030, they're saying no new vehicles will be sold gasoline with the gasoline technology. They will all be electric, and this will essentially force people into these electric vehicles. Soon after that, there will probably be laws and rules saying that you can't even drive a gas-powered vehicle down the road in California, and many other states are actually considering following suit with California's initiatives to basically eliminate gas-powered vehicles. So, soon after that, more legislation will probably follow to then punish gas-powered vehicles. Gas prices in California will probably go through the roof to further incentivize people to switch over to electric, as well as registering your vehicle, and so on and so on and so on. And this is how they coerce people into doing what they want you to do, even when it flies in the face of the market and what the market is dictating. Now, here's my big question. What are they going to do with all of this hardware? We're talking batteries that only last about 5 to 10 years. Usually you'll get 5 years out of an electric battery at its full efficiency, which is still only at like 85%. But then you get into, after the 5-year mark, the efficiency of that battery goes down and down and down. And it's at about that point that people consider purchasing a new electric vehicle or replacing the battery, because they're not getting the full charge and the full distance that they can get on that battery. And so here we are. To transition 300 million vehicles, they're saying is going to take decades, but they believe that they can do this by just incrementally coercing people into doing it. And this is where I have a problem. So, all this hardware will start to build up, and we're going to be living in a Ready Player One society with piles and piles and piles of old, outdated equipment, hardware. We're going to be living basically in a dump of all this stuff, which is full of toxic chemicals, and this will become our world. Everyone locked into their virtual reality in the electric grid. Now, here's the funny part about this article, is that this guy right here, Garrett Fitzgerald, Senior Director of Electrification at the Smart Electric Power Alliance, nonprofit with utility companies amongst its members, told Yahoo News, if you electrified all cars magically overnight, would the grid be able to handle it? The answer would be no. But that's not going to happen. This transition of over 300 million vehicles is going to take decades. Now look at the acronym for where this guy came from. The Smart Electric Power Alliance. SEPA. And now I want you to spell that backwards. APES, which is apes, which is pretty much everything we've been talking about. Apes, Abraham Lincoln, the father of electricity in terms of presidents, who started and completed the transatlantic copper telegraph line, which basically created the first means of instant communication from England. Wow. Let's keep reading this article and see what's in store for the United States. There were 70,000 EVs sold in the United States in August, a 43% increase from August 2021, according to U.S. Department of Energy. While EVs are 6% of new car sales nationally, variation between states is wide. California has the largest percentage of EVs of any state, with 15% of the cars sold there in the second quarter of this year being fully electric. The state has mandated that all cars sold by 2035 produce zero greenhouse gas emissions. The recently signed Inflation Reduction Act includes tax credits of up to $7,500 for consumers making less than $150,000. So here's where they're trying to sell you the electric car. Oh, if you buy an electric car, you get a tax credit. So this goes on. The electricity grids in many states face challenges from rising global temperatures due to more extreme weather, number of weather-related power outages. So now they're going to blame the weather and probably climate change. And so they're trying to basically pitch this as an investment into reducing and reversing climate change that will then make the grid better because there won't be so much extreme weather. Wow. So, power outages going on, and they're still trying to force this. And now they're going to say climate change is the reason. And that if we don't do this now, then the power outages are going to get worse and worse and worse. And somehow, through the behavior of man, we will be able to reverse this. Unbelievable. Mitigating the severity of climate change, however, requires reducing greenhouse gas emissions by relying on even more electricity. Wow. So, there's the story, you guys. And a lot of people will buy this and call it fact. Look at this. This is our future here. Wow. Tesla, backwards, all set. Reset, more like it. Now, let's move on to this next story because we all know what's going on there. Have you ever tried to drain a pool during a hurricane? Well, apparently this guy did. I mean, this is like a bad joke. This guy was out there trying to drain his pool during a hurricane. Ended up losing his life. Unbelievable. Now, we all know the devastation that happened in Florida with this hurricane. And it's really not anything to laugh at. But you got to ask yourself with some of these people. This guy was 72 years old from Deltona, and he died after going outside to drain his pool. Authorities believe he put a hose down a canal that was 30 feet wide in an attempt to drain the pool. The canal had a steep incline into the water that was extremely soft and slippery due to the heavy rain. His wife told police he disappeared after he went outside. Draining a pool during a hurricane. Wow. Look at how dark that water is. That is creepy. Now, the crazy thing about Florida and these places is they are full of alligators. And as soon as you fall into that water, these alligators are waiting for stuff like this. And that's probably what happened to this man. Not that he couldn't swim, but he probably got scooped up by an alligator. And this happens to a lot of people in Florida. Wow. Very creepy. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit here because I did some research into the dollar, because I wanted to find out the oldest roots of the word dollar. We'd done videos on this years and years ago and found out that the dollar and the original wording of the dollar came from the Jochmannsdollar, which was German. It was the first use of the word dollar. And of course, Joachim is Joachim and Boaz, right? The two pillars of Freemasonry. And so these were the original meanings of the dollar. And I took it back another level because I wanted to see what else I could find about the dollar. And here's what I found, and this is crazy. The dollar, or thaler, T-H-A-L-E-R, which was the original use of it to describe the first money ever made, basically in Germany, goes back to this word, thallus. Thaler is thallus. Now, what is a thallus? A plant body that is not differentiated into stem and leaves and lacks true roots and a vascular system. Thalli are typical of algae, fungi, lichens, and some liverworts. So here's what the thallus is. It's basically a flat, greenish looking object, which is probably why they named it after that. And it basically lives out of the air, pulling nutrients and things out of the air. Let's go to Encyclopedia Britannica and look a little bit closer at this. Plant body of algae, fungi, and other lower organisms formerly assigned to the obsolete group Thallophyta. There are filaments or plates of cells and ranges in size from unicellular structure to a complex tree-like form. Let's take a closer look at this. Doesn't that look like a dollar bill to you? It sure does to me. And I think this is what they were getting at with this. Now let's keep reading because there may be other things that are revealed here. It is a simple structure that lacks specialized tissues typical of higher plants, such as stem, leaves, and conducting tissue. Just below this article is mycelium, fungus filament. This is like the mycelial networks that they talk about, of these things communicating with each other through an invisible network. There's a video of mycelium here. Look at that. So this is the world of fungus. And now that you know that your dollars are based off of a fungus, what ramifications does that have in our world? Now, what else is going on here? Here's more descriptions of the word thal, T-H-A-L, a simple plant body with undifferentiated root, stem, and leaf. So, now this is a whole nother rabbit hole that we could go down, that I could dig into about the origins of the dollar. Now, I had posted something on the community page a couple days ago about these bots that have been coming onto the channel. Now, they don't just come into our channel, they go into everybody's channel, but YouTube's allowing it to happen. And the way that it goes is that these bots come in, one person makes a comment, but it's not a real person, and they say, I really want to invest in my future and I'm not sure where to invest. Then someone else comes on and says, well, I used this guy. And then someone else comes on and replies and says, oh, I used him too and I made $1 million. And then next thing you know, there are 6 or 8 people that aren't even real replying to this person. What's the common denominator? Cryptocurrency. Now, people ask me, Casey, why are you so suspect of crypto? And don't you understand that it's completely safe and that it's going to free the world from the monetary system? Don't you understand how cutting edge this is? Don't you understand? Don't you understand? Don't you understand? This is what I hear every single day about crypto. And I tell people, do you really think the powers that be would allow us down here on this level to gain any kind of economic control without them doing something about it? You guys, they've brought to bear billions of dollars in defense in going after countries who have done far less than a global crypto blockchain technology, haven't they? Remember the dinar? Remember the gold standard? Remember all the other currencies and all the other countries that tried to basically come up against the dollar? What happened to those countries? They were destroyed. Billions of dollars, if not trillions, in war against those countries. Do we really think that they would leave blockchain and crypto to chance? They would destroy it in a heartbeat. So that begs the question, what's really going on here? Well, this was a test run. Now, some of you are awake to it. You get what's going on. You understand that the very blockchain technology was basically given to us as a test run to test it out. Why do you think it's being pushed so much? Why do you think YouTube has allowed these channels? You know, you see the guys, the crypto guys, giving their crypto advice, making $200,000 a month on YouTube, driving their Ferraris. You guys have seen them. Do you think YouTube would allow a borderline illegal activity, which it was for a very long time? Would they really allow that? Of course they wouldn't, unless they were behind pushing it. And for all the channels out there that have been pushing this, I hope you're listening, because you're going to get caught holding the bag when this is all said and done, when this very technology is turned back against us. Now, a big red flag with crypto is their, what do you call it, verification process. Now, they'll spin it around and say, oh, we have to go through this extensive verification process because this is basically the foundation of crypto, is that we have to verify. And if it's not verified, then it's not secure. And so what they do is they get you to take pictures of yourself and put your ID on there and your social security number and this and that. And basically, now they have all the information they need to come back around and come get you. Facial recognition technology and the whole thing. So, what's this really about? I think it's a cataloging of all truthers, because think about it. All of the alternative truth websites are crypto-based, aren't they? Every single one. None of them are advertiser-based anymore. They're all crypto-based. And I think they're just cataloging everybody and using money as a carrot. And so, this is our future, you guys. You can either be part of it or you can stand against it. I choose to stand against it. I don't want to touch crypto. So, those are my feelings on crypto. Now, got a couple more things here. I was digging and digging and digging. I could not find this post by Melania Trump on 4/4/2020. 2015. This was just before the election. This is her official Twitter page. And here she is out on the patio. Tea time on my patio. This is at Mar-a-Lago. And here we have the demon, Pan, the hooved god, the Pied Piper, half goat, half man, in this case half baby, the Pied Piper leading people down to the path of destruction, right there on the patio of Mar-a-Lago. Unbelievable. So, April 4th, 4/4. Now, what else do I have here? One of you reminded me of this Btwn 3030 album, switching gears here. And this was a rap group, hip-hop super group of the same name. Rapper Del the Funky Homo Sapien. This was back in 2000. Now, this was just before 9/11, obviously. And look at their album cover. Now, we'd covered this at some point. I can't remember when, but this is good to revisit. Btwn 3030, and there is the Trilon and Perisphere. The people marching into the Perisphere. This is in Queens, New York, Corona Park. Corona Park. And look at the track listing. One of them is called Virus. Now let's look at these other tracks in here, see if we could see any other clues as to what was to come. But we all know that the coronavirus came out of this park, Corona Park, where Trump was from. And the Cure as well. Oh, look at that. 333. This one's called Turbulence. Now, what are we talking about Corona Park and the Trilon and Perisphere? Well, there's a whole story behind this, because the Trilon represents the needle. This was built in the World's Fair and of 1939, I believe. And the Perisphere becomes basically the womb. So the needle pierces the womb, changing the DNA of humanity. And the theme of this World's Fair was polio. And this was just before the worldwide polio pandemic, in which they would inject the world with the vaccine. So, let's take a look at some of the lyrics to Virus. I want to devise a virus to bring dire straits to your environment, crush your corporations with a mild touch, trash your whole computer system, and revert you to papyrus. That's obviously an Egyptian reference. I want to make a super virus strong enough to cause blackouts at every single metropolis, because they don't want to unify us. So F it, total anarchy. Can't nobody stop us. You see, late in the evening, effed up on my computer, and my mind starts roaming. I create like a heathen the first cycles of this virus I can send through a modem. Infiltration hits your station. No Microsoft or enhanced DOS will impede. Remember, this was the year 2000, so different technology. Society thinks they're safe when, bingo, a hard drive crashes from the rendering. A lot of hackers tried viruses before. Vaporize your text like so much whiteout. I want it where a file replication is a chore. Lights out, shut down the entire White House. So they're talking about blackouts, things like that. So obviously, this is basically a rebellion type of song against the machine. But if you read between the lines, you can see that this was very prophetic of the things that were to come, wasn't it? Tomorrow, we've got this video here of Trump in the cab. And one of you reminded me that the Late Show with Stephen Colbert had done a spoof on this Quantum Leap episode with Trump in the back of the cab. Tomorrow, this is what we will be looking at. because in this they mention Trump messing with DNA and reanimating dinosaurs. That'll be tomorrow's show. Hopefully I'll see you guys then. Much love, everybody. Take care and be safe.